Magandang umaga Zamboanga Peninsula sa ating mga online viewers. Buenos dias, maayong buntag kanatong tanan. Welcome sa Kapihan sa Rehiyon 9. Hatid sa inyo ng Philippine Information Agency Region 9. Ang programang ito ay isang plataporma para sa mga ahensya ng gobyerno upang ilahad ang kanilang mga programa at serbisyo sa taong bayan. Sa ating episode ngayong araw, makakasama po natin ang Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology o PHIVOLCS. Ating pag-uusapan ang mga nangyaring pagyanig kamakailan sa iba't ibang bahagi ng Pilipinas at ang mga paghahanda sa mga aftershocks nito. Pero bago po iyan, inaanyayahan namin kayong lahat na tumutok sa ating live stream sa PIA Western Mindanao. Cross-posted sa mga Facebook pages ng Pagadian at Zamboanga del Sur Media. Nakahook up din po tayo sa Radyo Pilipinas. Of course, we would also like to acknowledge our online viewers na nakatutok ngayon sa ating live stream. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Kasama din po natin ang ating mga media friends and partners na nandito din po online kasama natin. Magandang umaga din po sa inyong lahat. At this point, let us welcome our resource person for this episode, no other than Engineer Romel Labayog, the Research Specialist of PHIVOLCS Zamboanga. Magandang umaga sa inyo, sir.
Mayong buntag kaninyong tanan o buenos dias con ustedes a todos.
Yes, sir. Can you please explain to us, sir, ano po ba yung mga nangyayaring pagyanig ngayon sa buong Pilipinas? Predicted po ba ito ng PHIVOLCS?
Well, kung tutuusin, hindi naman to predicted na. Kasi ang daily number of earthquakes per day natin is nasa 30. So meaning to say, 30 earthquakes on average natin per day. So meaning to say, kahapon may 30, ngayon 30, bukas 30. So nagkataon lang ngayong mga lindol na nangyayari ngayon is magkakasabay na malalakas. Yun lang naman talaga yung explanation mo.
Oh, so yung mga, hindi naman siya interconnected, yung mga nangyaring pagyanig na ito?
So far, wala namang trend na nagpapakita na interconnected yung dalawang lindol. For example, yung 6.9 sa Bugo City, Cebu, at saka yung sa Manay or Davao Oriental. Kasi in the first place, yung tinatawag natin yung mechanism nito is magkaiba. Yung sa Bugo, Cebu, ang mechanism nun is faulting or faults. While yung sa Davao, Manay, Davao Oriental, yung mechanism nito is trench ang pinagmulaan ng lindol. So magkaiba talaga. Hindi sila connected.
Okay, with that being said, Engineer Labayog, wala po ba tayong ikakabahala with this happenings, mga quakes na nangyayari?
Well, kasi ang lindol kung tutuusin lang is nangyayari siya biglaan. So meaning to say, yung paghahanda nandun palagi. So, at for this time, yung mga areas na tatamaan or hindi pa tinamaan, dapat maghanda because, like for example, yung Zamboanga Peninsula. Yung Zamboanga Peninsula is surrounded by 2 earthquake generators or may dalawang klaseng earthquake generators. One is through faults and the other one is yung trench natin. So sa trench pa lang, meron tayong dalawa. We have the Sulu Trench and Cotabato Trench. And we have the fault, the Mindanao fault system. So dapat paghangdaan talaga tong mga earthquake generators.
Yes. Ito, bago natin puntahan yung mga kasama, meron din pala tayong mga kasamang mga media partners natin, engineer na nandito online. Medyo marami-rami din po tayo, nasa 10 ata tayo ngayon. Pero before we go to their question, engineer, ito kasi yung mga nakikita nating trend ngayon na lumalabas sa social media. Will this lead to what we call the big one? Itong mga nangyayaring pagyanig ngayon.
Okay, sir. Bali, yung terminology kasi na big one is galing talaga yan sa media, no? But nevertheless, yung big one kasi, akala nila yung big one concentrated lang sa isang area. No. Yung big one can happen any parts of the Philippines, dito sa Philippines, as long as may earthquake generators ka na malapit. For example, yung mga trenches natin. So basically, kung sasabihin mo big one, lahat ng areas pwedeng magkakaroon ng big one, kagaya ng Zamboanga Peninsula, yung sa Negros ba. So these are the places na pwedeng magkaroon ng kanya-kanyang big one.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying po, Engineer Labayog. Ito po, meron tayong katanungan from Zamboanga del Norte po. With the recent earthquakes across the country, marami ang nagtataka kung bakit daw po may mga instances na mas mataas yung magnitude pero yung damages and level of shaking na nararamdaman ng mga tao is hindi kasing intense ng mga mas mababa yung magnitude. An example would be the earthquake dun sa Bugo City, Cebu, and yung sa Davao region. Can you please explain and clarify for the sake of our listeners po and viewers?
Okay. ang difference kasi ng dalawa in terms of damage, kasi most of us na may na-oobserbahan na mas maraming damage yung sa Bogo compared sa Davao. Well, basically, yun nga, one of the mechanism doon is yung magkaiba yung mechanism. And at the same time, yung location ng mechanism itself. Kasi yung sa Davao, ang mechanism noon, yung trench, is located offshore. While yung sa Bogo City, it transects sa mga community or sa lupa. So, by that alone, makikita mo talaga yung the amount of devastated areas or mga buildings, mas marami sa Bogo kaysa Manay, Davao.
Okay. Ito po another question from Zamboanga del Norte pa din po, Engineer. May mga fault lines po ba tayo within the regions na dapat bantayan? And do we have any predictions on the damage it would bring kung sakaling gagalaw ito? And how can we prepare for this? Lalo na po yung mga nakatira malapit sa nasabing fault lines.
Well, for Mindanao, for Zamboanga Peninsula,
yes.
Yung tinatawag natin fault line is yung Mindanao fault system, which is traversing from somewhere in Cotabato, Tukuran, Pagadian, then until papuntang Sindangan. So, active fault yan. And at the same time, if you're going to look at it, mas maraming, today, no? Maraming communities na along the fault line. So, if there will be an earthquake coming from that fault line, you can be sure na may matatamaan talaga. Because one of the areas nga, kung titingnan lang natin sa mapa, yung isang area o municipality na tatamaan talaga, yung Mulave. Because the fault line is running below Mulave and other places na sa Zamboanga del Sur, Zamboanga del Norte. So, the more communities na dadaanan yung fault line, well, you can expect na matatamaan talaga. Now, ano ba yung dapat gawin nila? Ang dapat kasi gawin nila is, okay, number one, you can request our central office for yung tinatawag nating walk the fault. Yung i-mark mo talaga yung saan yung dumadaan talaga yung fault. And at the same time, kapag na-mark na yun, you can use that sa mga urban planning natin or CICLOP ba, na to delineate those areas na if ever in the future may development, hindi na may easement na tayo ilalagay para to avoid development. So yung tinatawag na zone of avoidance. So dapat ma-clarify natin yon so that in the future hindi basta-basta makapaglagay ng building doon.
Okay. Engineer, ito parang sort of follow-up na din dun sa katanungan regarding the fault lines. May mga critical updates po ba tayo? From Zamboanga City po ito. May mga critical updates po ba tayo on identifying and mapping active fault lines in Zamboanga Peninsula?
Well, as of now, may nire-review yung central office yung mga mapa ng faults. Especially for the Zamboanga fault system. Yung dati kasi may fault dito, traversing from Tagiti, in the area of Tagiti, then somewhere East Coast din. So sa late older maps, nandun yung trace ng fault line. But at present, wala na because at present kasi yung mga delineation ng fault line na yun is under assessment pa.
Okay. Ito naman po, question number 2 from Zamboanga City. What is Zamboanga Peninsula's worst case tsunami warning time? And how are the LGUs using the REDAS training to create clear and immediate evacuation plan if ever mangyari ang tsunami?
Okay, yung last year kasi nagkaroon tayo ng tsunami workshop dito sa Zamboanga City. It was ang nagpasimuno noon is yung Zamboanga City Disaster Risk Reduction Management Office. So from there, we gave the map, especially mga mapa na nagpapakita ng ano na yung height ng mga tsunami per barangay sa coastal areas. And at the same time, yung mga tatamaan. Now, as to the status kung ano na yung nagawa ng LGU, medyo hindi tayo privy noon kasi sila yung tawag dito, na binigyan ng task noon to compile all those maps produced by the barangays in order to come up with a comprehensive tsunami evacuation map for Zamboanga City. So, nasa LGU ngayon, especially sa Zamboanga City Disaster Office, ang ball ngayon to come up with that kind of map.
Okay. Meron tayong katanungan dito, Engineer. Thank you for clarifying that up. From Zamboanga Today and Daily Zamboanga Times kay Ma'am Letty Militante. First, dalawa po yung question niya. I mean, tatlo pala, may follow-up. So yung first question niya, main question actually, what are the most earthquake-prone regions in the Philippines? Hindi lang sa Zamboanga Peninsula, but sa buong Pilipinas.
At siguro lahat naman prone talaga. Wala namang exemption yan because kaya nga magkakaiba-iba kasi yung mekanismo ng earthquake generator. So basically, kung titingnan natin as in Philippines as entire country, yung entire country mismo itself is nasa ring of fire. So you can expect na part tayo sa mga earthquakes na yan at tsunamis at saka volcano. Now, one thing to add, yung kaninang question about sa time for tsunami, ang based sa model scenario from PBOX, if ever magkakaroon ng tsunami coming from the two trenches, because we have two trenches. On sa west coast ng Zamboanga Peninsula, we have the Sulu Trench. On the east coast, we have the Cotabato Trench. Now, tsunami coming from the Cotabato Trench, assumingly, it will arrive within 30 minutes, within that span. But ang problema natin dito sa Sulu Trench is napaka-lapit sa Zamboanga Peninsula. So, if there will be tsunami coming from the Sulu Trench, within less than 10 minutes, yun ang expected time of arrival.
Okay. Ito follow-up niya, engineer. Mas malakas po ba yung mga earthquake natin ngayon compared to the previous years? At bakit?
Hindi naman, sir. Wala naman ganun. Wala naman. Kasi standard naman yung tinatawag natin na mga formula at saka value ng earthquake. Ang kagandahan lang ngayon is mas marami tayong instrumento na nakakapag-record na ng mga lindol. So, dati wala masyadong earthquake, yun ang paniniwala natin. But when we evolve on putting up more instruments, mas marami tayong nare-record pala. Meaning to say, mas marami palang earthquakes ngayon na nare-record na natin because of these instruments na ginagamit na natin.
Okay. Meron tayong katanungan dito mula sa RMN Zamboanga kay Sir Bong Simbahon. Is there a possibility of the so-called domino effect amidst the series of tremors in Visayas and Mindanao? How about the danger of awakening Sulu Trench?
Okay, so yung tinatawag nila yung makakapag-influence yung other earthquakes to another earthquake. Well, depende kasi yan eh. Kasi kung tutuusin, ang layo ng Visayas, let's say for Bugo and Mindanao dito sa Davao, malayo yung proximity nila. Then magkaiba yung tawag nitong mechanism nila. But if yung earthquake generator mo, let's say fault line, is very close to a nearby fault line din, well, there's a chance na pwede siya makapag-influence ng earthquake. But at present kasi yung nangyayari ngayon, wala talaga.
Okay. Let's proceed naman po. Ito katanungan naman mula kay Sir Lorino Todyuan ng Wonder Radyo Dipolog, Zamboanga del Norte. Ask ko lang po, itong Sulu Trench pa din, parang sort of follow-up, rejoinder. Any updates po sa Sulu Trench at gaano po ito kadelikado if ever ito ay gumalaw?
Well, ang Sulu Trench, for this time, medyo wala masyadong seismicity. So, mean to say, wala masyadong mga earthquakes na nangyari within that area. Now, excuse me. Ano ba yung implication kapag walang lindol ang isang area na may earthquake generator? Well, kapag walang lindol, meaning to say that area is accumulating stress. So nagbabaon siya ng lakas. Now, that's the problem because kapag mas mahaba yung panahon na nagbabaon siya ng lakas, the moment there will be an earthquake, surely it could trigger a very, very strong earthquake because in a short period of time, i-release niya the entire energy for that time period na nabaon niya.
Okay.
Now, kung gaano ka peligro yung Sulu Trench, well, peligro talaga. Kasi ang historical event for this Sulu Trench, way back September 21, 1897, and for that day, it had 3 episodes of event. One started in 3 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. again. Now, all of those events are more than 7. And during that day, September 21, 1897, yung mga earthquakes na yun was able to generate tsunamis sa area dito sa west part of Zamboanga Peninsula. Now, just imagine if that thing will happen today at recent time. So with all, for example, Zamboanga City and Dipolog and Dapitan City, ang dami ng mga tao, ang dami ng development, ang dami ng infrastructure exposed sa Solutrenes. Well, definitely you can expect na if that thing will move with that kind of magnitude at present, medyo baka mahihirapan tayo sa pag-cope up.
Yes, okay. So, talking about mga paghahanda natin ngayon, paghahanda ng gobyerno, engineer, before going to that, gusto po namin malaman, siguro point of clarification and reiteration lang po. Ano nga ba talaga ang role at function ni FIVOLCS sa mga paghahanda natin in terms of disaster and risk reduction management?
Okay, ang role namin sa DRRM or Disaster Risk Reduction Management, meron tayong 4 pillars sa thematic areas, no? Well, ang FIVOLCS, Pag-asa, and other agencies, nasa warning agency kami. So, nasa prevention and mitigation ang FIVOLCS at saka Pag-asa. So, yun ang trabaho namin talaga, focus is, magbibigay talaga kami ng mga data for interpretation and at the same time, research. And ang output nito will be given to sa mga disaster planners natin to come up with preparedness. Parang ganun na yung as in general.
Okay. Thank you po. Eto po, gaano po ka-equip ang FIVOLCS ngayon when we talk about modernization tools and equipment that we have? Follow up, how about the personnel?
Well, presently, yung setup namin sa FIVOLCS, especially when it comes to instrumentation, lahat ng mga instrument natin dito sa FIVOLCS, they are all, tawag nito, in digital format na. Wala na kaming analog. And at the same time, some of the instruments or equipments dito ginagamit, galing pa sa ibang bansa through collaboration. Ang kailangan lang namin siguro ngayon is to come up with more networks. Kasi at present kasi nasa 100 plus yung entire network ng FIVOLCS for the entire Philippines. Now, sa laki ng Philippines, ang tawag dito, ang basic requirement for the number of stations should be more than 300. Nasa 150 plus pa lang kami. I think doon tayo pupunta when it comes to instrument. And regarding sa personnel, okay, qualified naman lahat kasi lahat ng mga trainings namin majority sa abroad naman. So, hindi naman tayo left behind when it comes to training.
Ilang stations po ba meron tayo within Zamboanga Peninsula? Offices ng FIVOLCS po natin?
For yung tinatawag, dalawang station type tayo meron. We have the station control or manned station and unmanned station. Now, for unmanned station, medyo madami na kasi yearly may construct. As far as Bungaw, Tawi-Tawi, to the entire Zamboanga Peninsula, meron na tayo. But for manned stations, dalawa lang talaga. We have the Dipolog Seismic Station, and these are manned by Engineer Florenet Garcia and Engineer Carlo Bahamonde. And dito sa Zamboanga Seismic Station, ako lang. So, yun lang ang dalawang manned seismic stations for Western Mindanao.
Is there a chance po na magkaroon din itong sa Zamboanga del Sur or Zamboanga Sibugay po kaya? Or carry naman nung existing natin na station na i-cover itong mga areas na ito?
Well, carried na yan sa existing stations natin. And aside from that, yung Pagadiay, yung Zamboanga del Sur, Zamboanga del Norte, meron tayong tinatawag ng mga unmanned stations na. So, for Western Mindanao, mas maraming unmanned kaysa manned. Okay. Kasi yung unmanned, manned station, dalawa lang kami. More than mas marami ang unmanned stations.
Okay. Sige. Ito naman po, engineer. Kasi nga lagi nating sinasabi no, na we cannot predict when and where an earthquake happens. So with this po, paano po kayang paghahanda ang dapat nating gawin, especially for the far-flung communities, yung mga hindi masyadong abot ng mga impormasyon na pinapalagana po natin?
Kaya nga yung sinasabi natin na hindi na natin na-prepare yung earthquake, but we will invest more on preparedness.
Preparedness.
And the role
Okay.
of being prepared is nasa LGU natin. Kasi we have the 4 thematic areas. One of the thematic areas there, yung hawak ng LGU, yung ang preparedness. So, the best way na pwede makaabot sa mga tao natin, sa mga liblib na mga lugar or other areas, would be the LGU na.
Okay. And can you say, engineer, that we are doing enough na ba? Yung ginagawa po ng mga local government units natin na paghahanda ngayon, dahil hindi nga natin kayang i-predict yung mangyayaring lindol, tama po ba at wasto?
In a way, tama. And at the same time, medyo kulang din. Kasi, for example, ba't kulang? Ang tanong kasi ba't kulang? For example, yung pagkakandak ng mga earthquake drills natin. So, yung pagkakandak ng earthquake drills natin, most of the time, when we conduct earthquake drills, we do the basic, tawag ito, basic execution for earthquake drill. Yung drop, cover, and hold, you run towards the exit and go assembly doon sa evacuation area. But in reality, mas mataas pa nun. So what is the message there is, I think it's about time na when we conduct earthquake drills, especially when yung mga LGU natin magkakandak ng earthquake drill, medyo we add realism sa mga earthquake drill natin. Why? Because nakita natin anong nangyari sa Sibubugo and at the same time sa Davao. Ano yung pagkukulang natin, especially sa mga schools. Kasi kung titingnan natin yung may mga videos, sa earthquake pa lang, yung ibang schools, yung mga ibang bata, instead of drop, cover, and hold, on the face of shaking pa lang, nag-evacuate na, which is very dangerous.
Yes.
So, yun dapat natin yung mga i-correct natin muna. Doon tayo magmamaster muna. And doon yung kulang natin.
So hindi dapat ganon. No, pag ongoing yun, yes. The best that we can do during an earthquake is yun talaga, i-follow natin, engineer, right? Yung duck, cover, and hold.
Yes, we should follow it. Follow talaga. Kasi mas delikado yung during an earthquake, tatakbo ka. Mas mataas yung chance na magkakaroon ka ng injury.
Nakikita din natin ngayon, engineer, yung mga announcements ng pagka-cancel ng mga classes, no, because of the aftershocks ng mga nangyari nga nitong recent na mga earthquakes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely yes, I would agree, especially kung yung area mo napakalapit sa epicenter. Because hindi mo talaga matanggal sa isip na yung building magkakaroon talaga ng mga cracks or any partial damage. No. Then at the same time, before occupancy, ibalik mo yung tao doon or occupants, you need to check and assess the building first. So kung hindi kaya talaga in one setting, well, might as well suspend muna yung klase just to give way sa pag-a-assess.
You mentioned kanina, engineer, yung regarding sa drill natin, ng duck, cover, and hold. Hindi natin masyadong na-observe na ginagawa naman yung tsunami drill. Gaano po ba ka-importante ang pagkakandak nito?
Yes, sir. Kasi kahit dito sa Zamboanga City, most of us would just go for earthquake drill. Kaya nga every time na tinatanong ako, it's about time na sinasabi ko talaga, it's about time na we should elevate or level it up yung earthquake drill natin. Lagyan natin ng kunting twist na naman. Kasi most of us would simply conduct earthquake drill, then drop, cover, hold, evacuation area, ganun lang yung sequence natin. But in reality, ang daming schools dito, establishments or buildings along the coastal area. So ang question kasi is the moment you execute the drop, cover, and hold, yung NSED, kung yung school mo or office mo nandyan sa tabi ng dagat, what's next?
Yes, oo nga.
Hindi naman ganun lang eh. Kasi, for example, yung nangyari dun sa Davao, at saka yung sa Bogo, after the earthquake, minutes lang naglampas, we issued a tsunami warning. So yung tsunami warning, that would be the equivalent action nun is evacuation talaga. So same thing with those schools na nandito sa shoreline, they should execute that kind of drill also. Not only for earthquake, but a tsunami drill na agad.
Yes. May mga na-observe doon sa mga videos na kumalat sa social media, engineer, na may mga bumababang na tubig no, during the earthquake when that happens yung sa Bogo City sa Davao. Is that really palatandaan? Palatandaan po ba iyon na may possibility mga ganon? Kasi dami-dami ng mga information
Okay. In the absence of yung tinatawag natin mga advisories, we rely heavily on sa tinatawag natin the natural signs of a tsunami. Okay, number one, strong earthquake. So meaning to say strong or long yung duration yung earthquake. Meaning to say kapag lumindol, right instantly, matutumba ka, hindi ka makakapagtayo, and napakahaba yung duration ng shaking. That would be the first. The second is, yung pagre-recede ng tubig sa dagat, atras yung tubig, then that would be the second. And the third is yung tinatawag nating roaring sound.
Okay.
May mga noise coming from sa dagat na hindi mo maiintindihan. But, ito yung twist dito. Kahit isa lang doon sa tatlo ang naramdaman mo,
Yes.
okay, get out ka na. Look for a high ground or stay away from the shoreline. Hindi mo na kailangan i-check mo pa yung tatlong signs talaga. Kahit isa lang doon, pwede na.
Okay. And how accurate is this signs, warning signs, engineer?
Well, accurate to kasi these are the natural signs. Kasi dalawa naman yung signs natin. Either using through technology, okay, that will be the first, and the natural sign. So, in the absence of yung tinatawag na dependent sa technology, cellphone, ganon, we heavily rely on the natural sign.
Engineer, meron ditong follow-up kay Ma'am Letty regarding dun sa sinasabi po ninyo sa earthquake drill. Does it mean ba na mali yung earthquake drill na ginagawa ngayon natin?
Hindi siguro naman mali kasi nandun naman yung basic na execution, but kulang lang.
Oo. Meron tayong question dito from Zamboanga City naman, at from Basilan pala, Basilan Province Engineer. Do the PHIVOLCS have the capacity to detect early signs of earthquakes and other relevant occurrences in the Philippines with early warning detected? How does PHIVOLCS educate the public about earthquake preparedness and safety? Meron po bang kakayahan ngayon si PHIVOLCS na i-detect yung mga possible na mga, with the aftershocks and this series of earthquakes that's happening? Parang yun yung point ng tanong po.
Okay, sir. Wala tayong technology, sir, in advance, no? Wala tayong in advance na technology to determine the earthquake when it comes to time, size, location. So those things, mga parameters. Hindi yan pwede. Wala tayong technology pa. Kahit yung Japan, wala nga. But what can we do is yung mga nakaraan ng mga earthquakes natin, pwede natin tawag na, lesson learned yun in terms of monitoring, in terms sa mga actions natin. So, ano ba yung ginagawa namin para tawag ito, para maintindihan ng tao? Well, basically, ang ginagawa namin, to make it short, we do the research, we do the studies, and at the same time, yung studies, research nito, the outcome will be hazard maps. And yung hazard maps, yun ang binibigay sa LGU. Then, let them fill yung map, and at the same turuan sila paano mag-interpret ng map, and LGU na mismo mag-come up ng preparedness. Ano yung dapat nilang gawin? Parang ganun yung flow talaga.
Okay. Engineer, one of our media friends from Google Meet would like to join our discussion. We request Miss Florence Ofima of Radyo Bagting to open your cam for your question po. Ma'am Florence? Sir Florence. Oh,
Hello.
I apologize.
Hello,
Florence.
Engineer. Good morning po.
Good morning, sir.
Okay. Sir, tanong ko lang po, sir, kung ano po bang mga hakbang na dapat gawin upang makaiwas sa pinsala ng lindol po?
Well, ang dapat mo natin gawin, no? Because ang dami nating nagawa na, no? So, ang basic na dapat natin gawin is tatlo yon. Tatlong bagay. There are three things that we can start. Start in the family, in a workplace, and a community. Now, sa family itself, well, definitely, yung orientation ng family members, kung ano yung lindol, ano yung epekto ng lindol, saan kayo tatakbo. So, ganon. Ano yung impact? Now, second is yung pagpapahanda ng mga bagubag natin. Then, knowing orientation or knowing saan ba yung mga evacuation areas sa barangay natin. That would be it. Then, for the community level, well, preparation of disaster plan. Then, pagbibigay ng mga IEC campaign sa mga tao, and at the same time, inventory within the barangay itself. then identification ng mga safe and unsafe areas sa barangay, then moving up na tayo sa community, then that's the time in community, let's say, ako yung DRRMO officer, well, definitely, I will come up to compile all the data coming from the barangay, and at the end of the day, come up with a comprehensive plan for the entire city. Parang ganon.
Okay, sir, matanong ko lang po, engineer, kung sakaling po, nabanggit niyo po kanina na parang wala pang aparatos ang PHIVOLCS tungkol po kung pwede ba malalaman natin kung kailan may paparating na lindol. Engineer, bakit po hanggang ngayon is wala pa tayong aparatos po tungkol dito?
Well, ang earthquake kasi hindi, kung titingnan natin, ang pangyayari ng earthquake is sudden displacement. So, sudden. So, walang makakapag-predict ng sudden. Unlike sa Pag-asa, malayo pa yung bagyo, pwede mo nang tingnan sa radar na parating na yung bagyo. But for an earthquake, wala talaga. Sudden talaga yung movement nito. So, ano yung ginagawa namin? So, ang ginagawa namin is, pag na-record ng earthquake, monitoring ng earthquake, and at the same time, dinidocument yung lahat ng mga data. And to come up with, tawag ito, compilation. So, kung may compilation ka, pwede mong i-relate yung mga previous earthquake to the present earthquake. Sa ganito pala, to come up with a research or database. Ganun lang talaga. But basically, you cannot predict an earthquake because yung nature ng earthquake is sudden.
Okay, engineer, huling katanungan na lang po, ano po ang may papayo ninyo sa mga mamamayan na hindi po sinaseryoso yung mga earthquake drill na ginagawa po ninyo or ginagawa ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno po?
Okay, so kung titingnan natin, sir, no, yung recently, for the past 2 weeks, September 30 to ngayon, October 14, 2 weeks exactly. For the past 2 weeks, we witnessed yung dalawang malalakas na lindol sa Bugo at saka sa Davao. Na kung titingnan natin, yung mga tao ngayon doon, sila yung mga aktor. Sila yung aktor. Tayo ang mga audience dito sa Zamboanga Peninsula. So, nakita natin ano yung epekto, ano yung destruction ng earthquake. So, medyo hindi maganda. Now, ang wish natin, no, tawag ito, ang wish ko lang is, if that time will come na tayo ang magiging aktor, dapat handa na tayo.
Okay, maraming salamat po, engineer.
Salamat, sir.
Okay,
good morning again.
Yeah. Thank you, Sir Florence Ofiman ng Radyo Bagting Pagadian. Now, to continue with our discussion, kasama pa din po natin ang ating research specialist ng PHIVOLCS Zamboanga, si Engineer Romela Bayog. Engineer, ito naman, since we had an experience before, no, na nangyari talaga na tsunami, no, dito sa Pagadian, 1976, I believe, August 1976. With that experience po, paano po natin ginagamit yung mga datos na nakalap natin from that, no, to prepare our communities na hindi na maulit yung mga nangyaring, the harrowing experience of that tsunami?
Okay, isa sa mga pinaka-importanting datos dyan na hanggang ngayon, from that day to present na ginagamit natin, is yung extent ng damage ng tsunami. That would be the first. Hanggang saan yung last inundation ng tsunami. And at the same time, i-relate natin ngayon with the present population. Okay? Kung titingnan natin, yung lahat na dinaanan ng tsunami ngayon, ngayon ang dami ng bahay. So by that time, pwede natin i-relate sa kanila na, during the 1976 tsunami, yung area mo sakop sa loob ng natamaan ng tsunami. Now, by that time, again, pwede mo nang i-introduce yung preparedness, anong dapat gawin, ano yung pagkakaintindi mo sa earthquake sa mga tao. So that awareness nila na if there will be that kind of event na babalik, well, definitely, magkakaroon ng preparedness for that area. Then aside from that, ang ginagawa din natin is yung mga research natin sa tsunami, we come up with this kind of yung hazard map for tsunami. So dito mo makikita ano yung level ng mga tsunami at a certain distance, at a certain height. So ready available na yung mga maps na yan. Kaya ang sasabi ko, yung last year we had a tsunami workshop dito sa Zamboanga City. And that map will show you na at a certain distance from the shoreline, you have this kind of height of a tsunami. Yun, isa din yung produkto na ginagamit natin para sa mga tao na prone sila sa tsunami. Then third is that ang paglalagay natin ng mga tsunami markers. Okay? Importante talaga yan. Now, tsunami markers, 3 yan. May yung prone, yung hazard, directional niya, at saka yung evacuation shelter for tsunami. So these are the signages na dapat kailangan natin ilalagay sa mga communities, especially prone sa tsunami, and at the same time, yung mga areas dati na tinamaan ng tsunami.
Engineer, what are the chances na mangyari po ulit itong ganito kalakas na lindol? 8.1 ata yung magnitude nung nangyari yung tsunami dito sa Pagadian. What are the chances na gumalaw ulit yung fault line na ito at saka magkukos ulit nitong devastating na earthquake?
The chances siguro, kung titingnan natin, ang chances na magkakaroon ng lindol, nandyan palagi because yung average na tinatawag nating statistics, the average number of earthquakes per day is 30. But yung siguro, doon lang tayo magkakatalo, yung the size of an earthquake. Kasi kapag napakalaki yung magnitude ng earthquake, it will take some time to store energy and to come up with that kind of strength again. So, mean to say, ang recurrence niya. So, the bigger the earthquake, mean to say, the longer time we will wait to happen it again. Kasi maraming time kailangan niya to accumulate stress, and at the same time, kapag nagbigay siya ng lindol, that kind of magnitude, medyo matagal talaga yan.
Yes.
But the possibility of having an earthquake is always there because, sabi ko, 30 earthquakes per day.
Yun nga, grabe yung namomonitor natin. Hindi ba siya lumala with the series of earthquakes that's happening now all over the country, Engineer?
Hindi naman siguro sila lumala. Kasi, like I said, nagkaroon lang tayo ng mas maraming equipment ngayon. So marami tayong nare-record talaga. Kahit yung maliliit, nare-record na natin. Hindi gaya dati, may a certain threshold lang tayo, threshold lang ang nai-record natin. But for today or the recent, yung maliliit as small as magnitude 1.1, nare-record na natin.
At the core of our preparation, Engineer, syempre nandun talaga yung local government units natin. Hindi kasi po pwede yung preparation, wala din sila eh. Ano po yung assessment po ninyo regarding the preparation dun sa LGU level na po natin ngayon?
Mahirap i-assess yung LGU level kasi depende kasi sa diskarte ng LGU. Kasi ang dami nating mga municipalities, dami nating cities. So, hindi mahirap talaga i-assess mo as one kasi iba-iba yung atake nila, approach nila sa preparedness. But nevertheless, wala namang municipality na yung preparedness nila is naging 100%. Okay? Wala namang 100% pa at present kasi hindi ko rin nakikita yan. But asking me na kung ano yung assessment, well, mahirap talaga kasi iba-iba yung priorities ng mga LGU natin. And at the same time, iba-iba yung atake nila on preparedness.
Okay. Proceed naman tayo, Engineer, sa when we talk about misinformation, disinformation online. Kasi ang dami-daming mga kumakalat na mga impormasyon na hindi naman verified. So ano po ba yun? Paano ini-ensure ni FIVOLCS yung accuracy ng mga information na lumalabas ngayon, and paano po kayo nag-a-assess na talagang to ensure tama yung mga impormasyon na ito?
Well, ang ginagawa kasi namin is sa site sa FIVOLCS, much better siguro, ang advice ko na lang is you log on sa webpage namin.
Okay.
Ganun lang kasimple. Huwag na kayong maniwala sa ibang, example, mga blog na yan. But you get directly from our webpage yung mga information about earthquakes, volcano, and tsunamis. Ganun lang kasimple naman yun eh. Kasi anybody can now access sa FIVOLCS. And the more na papatol ka sa mga news or mga blogs na hindi naman tawag nito, sigurado, well, the more you're spreading rumors, much better to cut it short, you go to our official webpage. Ganun lang kasimple.
Exactly, no, I agree. So bisita po kayo sa website po ng PHIVOLCS para sa mga truthful and factual information. Now, gusto din pong magtanong ng ating kasama mula sa XFM Pagadian, si Miss Joan Gook. Nasa GMeet po. Please open your cam.
Hello po.
Yes, ma'am. May buntag, ma'am.
Hello po, sir. Exciting morning po, engineer. Sir, nitong dumaang lindol po, last week po sa Davao, nagkagulo po yung mga tao dito sa Pagadian City po, particularly from the people po yung from coastal barangays, wherein more or less 400 people po yung nagsilikatan po sa covered port kasi natakot po sila baka po gumalaw yung dagat, baka po mangyari yung tsunami po. So with that po, ano po ba yung latest assessment po or update po ng status po ng Pagadian City po when we talk about lindol or possibility of tsunami po?
Okay, ma'am. Bali, kung titingnan natin, ma'am, yung Pagadian papuntang Davao Oriental, Manay, medyo natatakpan na tayo. So, kung may tsunami man, hindi talaga magko-cross over yung tsunami papuntang Pagadian. But surely, if there will be, let's say, yung shaking talaga, well, most likely, mafe-feel talaga din yung shaking kasi isang landmass lang tayo. So, in terms of tsunami, medyo malayo na yung possibility na tatamaan talaga yung Pagadian sa tsunami galing from Davao. But for shaking, medyo mafe-feel pa rin. Ganun lang.
Okay po. Good news po yan. Thank you po kung ganoon. So, second question po, sir, as observed po sa mga videos po, mula sa mga natamaan ng lindol po, bihira na lang po yung nagda-duck, cover and hold. Would it be possible po na mag-come up po ng mas epektibo po na paraan na pagsasagawa po ng mga earthquake drills po, especially sa mga paaralan po at sa mga establishments po?
Yes, ma'am. Kasi kung titingnan natin, ma'am, yung earthquake protocol na yan for safety, merong tatlo yan. One is yung draft cover and hold. The second one is yung may tinatawag silang triangle of life. Then may tinatawag na roly-poly execution. Now, of all these things, ang pinaka tawag ito, tested talaga yung draft cover and hold. But the problem is, yung mga occupants kasi, merong mga occupants ng building, merong na tinatawag natin culture of evacuation. So, I mean to say, iba na yung maraming factor na pumapasok sa isipan ng mga tao. One is that magko-collapse yung building talaga. So, ganon. So, the tendency is, instead of executing the drop, cover, and hold, siyempre, nagpanik ka na, hindi malilimutan mo talaga. But instead, you will run going outside, not knowing na by running towards the exit, towards the evacuation area, mas mataas yung chance mo na magkakaroon ka ng injury. Now, I guess ang punto dito is, dapat yung sinong tumuturo talaga o nagbibigay ng lecture about earthquake protocol or earthquake safety protocol should be, tawag ito, wise enough and at the same time, mag-i-innovate siya na paano niya i-convey yung message ng earthquake drill through that drop, cover, and hold effectively. Okay? And kaya nga titingnan natin sa mga video, kahit evacuation na, during the earthquake phase pa, nag-e-evacuate na. So mean to say, there's something wrong talaga. So, yung nagtuturo talaga rin, pwede natin focus to tell him, to tell her na you need to focus on this, conveying the students, conveying the occupants. Na during an earthquake, don't run outside, but instead look for a place for you to cover.
Okay po. Thank you so much po.
Salamat
Amping
po.
po, amping.
Thank you, Miss Joan Gook ng XFM Pagadian. So sige, continue po tayo. Meron pang katanungan dito online, engineer. Kapit lang po kayo dyan. Okay, for the
Yes,
next question. Ito naman from Miss Letty Militante pa din po ng Zamboanga Today. What is this Apolaki caldera, super volcano beneath the Philippines? will Philippines survive if and when this will be active? Kung gumalaw
Sir,
kaya
yung
ito.
apulaki na yan sa issue, sir, that is only tinatawag natin. It is a remnant area of volcanism before, thousands of years ago. Wala na yung impact para sa atin because wala na ng activity nga yan. Remnant na lang yan. Assuming na if there will be may ongoing activity, sa kadami-daming station doon sa Northern Luzon, wala namang nakakapag-record kahit isang activity. So, it's just misleading the people and at the same time creating tawag ito, animosity sa mga SOCMED tawag ito, people din na buhayin yung mga issue na yan. So, wala na yan, sir. It's not an issue sa PHIVOLCS. Wala yan talaga.
Okay, so walang dapat ipangamba kasi nga ito isa din to sa mga
Yes, sir.
isa din to sa mga kumakalat sa social media regarding this caldera. But anyway, meron pang katanungan dito, engineer kay Sir Lorino Todiuan ulit. Ang tanong ko po, ano po ba yung mga nagbabadyang panganib sa likod ng mga pagyanig? May iba pa bang dapat katakutan ang mga kababayan maliban sa lindol?
Well, sa side namin kasi we focus more on earthquake and tsunamis and volcano. Now, when it comes to earthquake, well, at 30 kaya nga ang emphasis namin is more on preparedness kasi given the statistics of 30 earthquakes per day, well, the chances of having a big one there napakalaki. So, kaya nga yung preparedness level natin should be always on top talaga palagi.
Totally agree. Engineer, ito naman po. Sa ngayon po ba, ano po yung mga priorities and plans po ng PHIVOLCS in the coming years in terms of research and modernization?
Well, yung sa modernization, one of the plans talaga dun is to increase the number of seismic stations throughout the Philippines. Siguro gusto namin ma-attain yung 300 stations throughout the Philippines para maganda na yung distribution ng network natin for the entire Philippines, and at the same time it would benefit sa plotting and research ng earthquakes dito sa Philippines din. Parang yun talaga ang main goal namin.
And hopefully we can achieve that in the coming years. Tinitingnan po ba natin siya?
Yes. Kasi ang target kasi dati is within 5 years, but hopefully kung mabigyan ng tamang budget na sa modernization, well, definitely, less than 5 years, makukomplete na yung 300 stations na yan.
Okay. So, ito naman siguro, ito yung last question na nakikita ko po dito. Call to action nyo po. Message para sa lahat ng involved when it comes to disaster preparedness, para sa mga nakikinig sa atin.
Okay. So, ganito lang. Before anything else, ang bigay ko lang yung update for aftershocks, Sa Bugo, as of this morning, the total number of recorded aftershocks is 12,072. Then yung plotted is 2,138. Felt events nasa 46. It's like 3 earthquakes per day to present. Then for the Davao earthquake in 7.4, the total number of recorded aftershocks is nasa 1,277. Then plotted is 600 and felt is nasa 15, like 15 earthquakes, felt earthquakes. It's like 1 earthquake felt per day. Now, ang mensahe nito kasi is nakita natin yung devastation because all of these quakes na nangyari for the past 2 weeks, they are all classified as devastating earthquake. Intensity 6 to intensity 7. Now, what is the message here? So ang mensahe talaga dito is pinapakikita sa atin na, okay, mga LGUs, tayo dito, we need to revisit our plans. Kasi naging witness na tayo sa dalawang malalakas na earthquakes. And lahat tayo, nakita natin ano yung pagkukulang ng nasa Cebu, ano yung pagkukulang sa Davao. Now, as an LGU, siguro, doon mo na makikita, doon mo na mako-compare yung pinaghandaan mo na preparedness plan with these events. So, I guess the message here is for us to revisit our disaster plan. Yun lang talaga.
Okay. May mga pahabol na question. Sayang, nag-call to action na tayo. Pero anyway, ito pahabol.
Sige lang, sir.
Yes. We would like to acknowledge our GMeet participant din from InfoLink Pagadian, si Sir Manny Maulana. Good morning, Sir Manny.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Sir, may buntag, sir.
Hello po. May buntag, okay. Sir, usa ko ka biktima way back 1976 yun namin. Sa coastal po ako. Dito po tayo sa Sinyalis, sir. Sabi nila, pag may mga ibon, ganun, mayroon daw mangyayari. Dati-rati, noong 1976, maraming mga matatanda na humingi ng tubig. Possible ba yan, sir? Mayroon ba yung mga proven po na sinyalis?
Well, at present kasi, yung mga precursors galing sa mga animals, medyo hindi masyadong accepted pa sa science, no? So most of the time, ang ina-accept talaga yung through instrumentation. But there are mga other scientists ngayon na nagbe-venture sa idea of using animal behavior na i-relate sa earthquake. But definitely, in general, hindi pa yan accepted. Ang accepted talaga is through instrumentation talaga.
Sir Manny, nakamute po kayo, Sir Manny. May follow-up po kayo?
Hello po. Yes. Isa po akong nag-request po ng sa Pagadian City, naging ordinance na po yan, yung tsunami drill. Dapat sana mag-conduct yung Pagadian City ng every year ng tsunami drill. Ito po bang pangyayari sa Pagadian City way back 1976? Sabi nila within 50 years or after 50 years, may mangyayari namang malaking paglindol or else tsunami?
Well, ang possibility for having an earthquake, nandyan palagi, sir. But to determine it na ganito kalaki, medyo mahirapan tayo niyan. Because, like I said, the average number of earthquakes per day is 30. Pwede mangyari doon yung pinakamalaki. But the problem with that is, hindi natin malalaman ano yung mga size ng earthquakes within the 30 earthquakes per day, sir.
Sir Manny? Hello, Sir Manny. Are you still there? Nakuha niyo po yun? Okay.
Pangyayari sa Bugo at yes, hello. Yung pangyayari sa Bugo at pangyayari sa Davao, iba po ang pagyanig doon. Doon sa Bugo, para daw jackhammer ang galaw po ng earthquake doon. Possible ba sa mga ibang area ganun po? Ganun? At bakit po nangyayari yung mga jackhammer na pagyanig?
Hindi, sir. Ganito yan, sir. Kasi sa earthquake, kung tutusin, yung earthquake kasi hindi lang isang motion ng paggagalaw ng yung direksyon ng lupa. In reality, may mga ibang tawag itong iba't ibang direksyon yung paggalaw. Kasi during an earthquake, the first thing that you will feel, especially kung malapit ka talaga sa epicenter, yung vertical displacement, meaning to say up-down motion ng earthquake. Then after several seconds, yung makikita mo na yung building mismo is sideward na yung movement. Then after certain pagdating ng surface wave, magiging front backward, and at such time, magiging parang alon na siya. So nagkataon lang na yung area na yun sa Bugo na parang vibration ang na-feel nila, that would connote na another set of motion ng earthquake ang dumadaan talaga doon. Because hindi mo na yung earthquake nga, sabi nga, hindi na isang motion lang yan. It's not a single motion in reality. Kagaya ngayon, in front ko yung instrumento natin. So, may earthquake. Ipapakita ko na lang sa inyo. Yan, may earthquake ganyan. Yan, yung malaking line yan. That is an earthquake. Most probably, galing yan sa Davao area.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Ito na lang. Huling pangtanong na lang po.
Sige, sir.
Paano nyo Yes, sir. Paano nyo ma-determine pag may intensity na may tsunami. At totoo ba kung bababa yung tubig, possible may tsunami? Or else, yung hindi naman gagalaw yung tubig sa dagat, possible ba may tsunami din? Kasi na-experience namin yan dito sa Pagadian, dito po kami sa coastal. Nung na-experience po namin yung tsunami dito, sa coastal po kami.
Okay, sir. Yung tsunami kasi, sir, sa first question is, paano namin nalalaman kung may tsunami yung earthquake? Now, may tinatawag tayong parang mga threshold or binabantay na magnitude. Now, for a tsunami generated, especially kung ang earthquake generator mo nasa trench, no, number one is that yung magnitude should be 6.5 and above. Now, kung titingnan natin, yung for example, sa Manay, Davao Oriental, the magnitude is 7.4. So, automatically, mag-i-issue ka talaga ng advisory niyan. And the second criteria doon is dapat yung epicenter mo nasa dagat. That will be the second. The third is yung depth ng earthquake dapat shallow within the scale from 0 to 30 kilometers. Shallow yan. So, kung titingnan natin yung sa Davao Oriental, na-meet yung tatlong criteria for tsunami advisory or tsunami warning issuance. Kaya nga, nag-issue kami ng tsunami warning for that area. So, lahat ng tsunami advisory may criteria pinapalo yung PHIVOLCS. You cannot just simply na magkaroon ng earthquake, pwede ka na mag-issue. May criteria talaga, sir, before mag-issue ng tsunami warning or advisory.
Sir, pahabol, last na lang to, sir, ha? Pahabol, last na lang. Kasi lumalabas to sa social media. Last na lang to. Lumalabas ka to sa social media. Nangyari yung earthquake sa Bugo, September 30, around 10 o'clock. Nangyari din yung earthquake sa Davao, December 10, around 10 o'clock ng maaga. Doon sa Bugo, gabi. Sabi nila po, in every 10 days, possible po, may mangyari na naman. At least 10 days po. Totoo po ba yan, sir?
Well, in a sense, kung i-follow mo yung statistics natin sa number of earthquakes per day, pwedeng totoo yan. Kasi, like I said, the number of earthquakes per day is 30 earthquakes per day. Per day. So meaning to say, today we have 30, tomorrow there will be 30, and the following day there will be 30. So, accurate yung sasabihin mo na, ay, bukas magkakaroon ng lindol. Accurate talaga yan because base sa statistics natin, 30 earthquakes per day talaga yan. So, in a way, correct yan kasi 30 earthquakes per day ang average natin. It falls within that number. But as to the size of an earthquake, well, size, area, or yung epicenter, date, well, yun, hindi natin. Mahirap na yan, sir.
Maraming salamat po, sir. God bless po sa inyong lahat.
Salamat, sir. Salamat kayo.
Thank you, Sir Manny Maulana ng Infolink Pagadian. Merong last question, final question na po ito. Engineer, from Ma'am Letty ulit. You mentioned that those areas with less earthquake activities are more serious or in danger as compared to areas with frequent earthquakes. So does this mean there is no safe place in the Philippines?
Well, usually kasi kapag walang earthquake, then may earthquake generator ka sa area mo or AOR mo, well, definitely, that would be a sign na yung area doon is nagbabaon talaga ng lakas. Kaya nga walang masyadong earthquake. Na it doesn't mean na walang earthquake, wala na din. Kasi ang babantay mo talaga doon is yung area, yung earthquake generator sa area mo. And plus factor pa din kung may historical na malalakas talaga na earthquakes. So kagaya dito sa Zamboanga Peninsula, if you have the Sulu Trench and Cotabato Trench, then assuming na Sulu Trench lang i-focus natin, walang masyadong activity yung Sulu Trench, but may malaking historical event diyan, well, that would be, tawag ito, parang red flag na yun sa atin na, oy, you need to prepare because kahit walang earthquake ngayon dyan, but historically, ang lalakas na mga earthquake. So meaning to say, there's something going on sa baba noon na ba't nag-cease yung activity? Either wala na or nagbabaon talaga ng lakas. Parang ganun lang yun.
Yes, no? At yan po, ang huling mga katanungan mula sa ating mga media partners and online viewers. Engineer Labayog, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat. Mga nagtanong, nagbigay, nagpaabot ng mga katanungan. No? Bago magtapos ang ating programa, Engineer, pakinggan po muna natin ang iyong closing statements.
Okay, ang nangyari ngayon for the past 2 weeks, nakita natin yung devastation ng 2 earthquakes. Then, nakita din natin yung pagkukulang natin sa preparedness. Then, nakita natin yung mga tao ngayon doon sa Bugo at saka Cebu, sila yung naging aktor sa disaster. Ang gusto ko lang makita in the future is kung tayo nang magiging aktor, sana prepared na tayo. Yun lang.
Okay, maraming salamat no, Science Research Specialist, Engineer Alan Labayog of PHIVOLCS Zamboanga. Amin din pong pasasalamat sa ating partners mula sa Mindis Catering and Landscaping Services para sa inyong assistance sa episode natin ngayon. Sa ngalan po ng PCO Secretary Dave Gomez, PIA Director General Catherine Chloe De Castro, PIA Regional Head Noemi Adaga at sa buong puwersa po ng Philippine Information Agency Region 9. Mula din po sa ating guest, maraming salamat PHIVOLCS Zamboanga. Ito po si Emmanuel Taghoy. See you sa next episode ng Kapihan sa Rio 9. Daghang salamat.